a site called Sunday Okekwo Insurance. And yes, it does exactly what it says on the tin, which is refreshing in an era of deliberately cryptic personal brands.
Sunday Okekwo covers serious ground here, a century of Nigerian insurance history, and what a new Reform Act means for the industry's future. Let's start with how insurance in Nigeria actually got here.
The question this post is really answering is, how does an industry go from a tool designed for colonial trade to something that protects ordinary Nigerian families? And what does that journey actually look like across 100 years?
The post frames the whole arc in one sentence. From a small sector created mainly to support colonial trade, Nigerian insurance has developed into a regulated financial industry that protects families, businesses, investments, and national economic growth.
That's a real shift in who the industry is for. Marine and fire coverage for British trading companies in 1918 is a very different product from retirement planning and education funding in 2026.
The timeline bears that out. The first indigenous insurer didn't appear until 1958. By independence in 1960, only 4 out of 25 firms were Nigerian-owned. NICOM wasn't established to regulate the sector until 1997, followed by the Insurance Act in 2003.
And the recapitalization reform that followed cut the number of companies from 104 to 49, which sounds brutal until you consider what it was clearing out.
Weak operators and poor claims experiences are exactly what eroded public trust. By Q3 2024, claims paid reached $564 billion, representing 48.1% of premiums generated. Gross written premium hit $1.562 trillion that year, a 56% increase from 2023.
So the numbers are moving. The gap, though, is still stark. Nigeria's insurance penetration sits at 0.4% of GDP against a global average of 7%.
The post traces that gap to low awareness, cultural preference for informal savings, and weak enforcement of compulsory insurances. The Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Act 2025, signed in August last year, is the biggest legislative intervention in 2 decades. New capital requirements, a risk-based capital framework, and a compliance deadline of July 2026.
A century of groundwork, and the next test arrives in months.
The site's first published post is a different kind of beginning. Worth a quick look before we close.
There is one post here that every WordPress site shares, and this one is no exception, the default Hello World entry, which the platform drops in automatically as a starting point.
It says exactly this. Welcome to WordPress. This is your first post. Edit or delete it to take the first step in your blogging journey.
Sitting right next to 100 years of Nigerian financial history, that placeholder pulls some weight it wasn't designed to carry.
It marks the moment the site went live, the starting line before the substantive work began.
A century of reform compressed into one post, and a blank slate placeholder marking where the writing starts. The gap between 0.4% penetration and where NACOM wants to be by 2033 is the real story to watch.
Next episode, we'll see what else gets built from here.